We do bands, we do DJs, we do national acts, we do speed painters, caricature artists. We do the craziest things. If you think it, we've got it. And if we don't have it, we'll find it. We will not disappoint. That is our promise and commitment to everyone. And have a Breezin' Day.
Hi, this is Cindy Durbich, owner and CEO of Breezin Entertainment and Productions. Thank you for joining us on Breezin Chats. Today we will be chatting with and also joined by my executive team, Michael Durbich and Jesse Wilcox. Today we will be chatting with our special guest about tourism in Tampa and what it is to bring people to our slice of paradise. Our guest today is the former Chief of Staff for the City of Tampa, who has been dedicated to public service for over 25 years. He is a longtime hospitality specialist and is currently considered the main spokesperson for tourism and hospitality in the Tampa area. During his time working for the city government, he was an integral part of hosting large events for groups such as Super Bowl and the Republican National Convention. He also has spent time serving as Tampa Convention Center Tourism, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Administrator, in which he directly saw over the Convention Center day-to-day operations. Forgot about that one. As dedicated member of the Tampa community, he currently affiliated with over 10 boards located in the Tampa Bay area. He has received HSMAI's Top 25 Award for Extraordinary Minds in Hospitality, Sales, and Marketing, as well as being awarded Hillsborough County's Hispanic Man of the Year in 2013. Woo-hoo. Since 2013, he has been the president and CEO of Visit Tampa Bay and has dedicated himself to both transforming professionally culture in his workplace, increasing visitation to the destination under his management. Visit Tampa Bay has been awarded numerous marketing awards as well for HSMI Platinum Atrium Award and 3 Henry Awards at Visit Florida's Flagler Award Ceremony. It's a really big deal. A magna cum laude graduate from the University of Miami. Please help us with a warm welcome to Breezin Chats, Santiago.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on Breezin Chats.
We're so excited
Thank
to have
you.
you.
You know, all that stuff means that you're just really old, right? When you start reading all this stuff, you're like, oh my God.
You probably did have that stuff too. You're like, no, that's right.
That was a long time ago. Oh my goodness, I am getting old.
You're like, I'm exhausted just hearing all
Yeah, I am kind of exhausted. When you get old, you feel exhausted.
Well, I say we're just getting better.
Yeah, that's true.
We're just starting.
You get wiser, that's for sure.
Yeah, we get smarter.
Wiser and less self-absorbed. I find way less self-absorbed.
You want the other ones to start shining and just do their jobs.
You don't even want to be seen or heard, so you're lucky you got me on here because I try not to be seen or heard.
Well, that's how we felt, but when we really, as I was sharing why we picked certain guests to come on to tell the story about our city. And I couldn't think of anybody else that could really share with us. First of all, I want to thank you for your always being warm and welcoming.
Thank you.
When we've attended any events or needed any favors from the visit, I still call it the Bureau.
The Bureau, yeah.
People go, the Bureau, what is that?
The FBI.
I remember that.
Aging
I was actually
or
at the, when you guys introduced your new logo, probably, 5 or 6 years ago?
Right around when I joined, absolutely.
So I do remember the Bureau as well.
Yeah.
Funny. But we have lots to chat about. We want to hear about so many things, and I know Jesse is just loaded up to ask you a few things.
All right, be gentle, Jesse.
All right, no.
Gentle, Jesse.
I won't make you cry. I'm not like Oprah, okay? I haven't made anyone cry yet. Let's say that.
Okay, good.
Well, I just kind of want to know, like, your background. Where did you get started in your career? Kind of take me through.
Oh my God!
Not that long ago, when you were in college.
Oh my God! It's
that cum laude with that pina colada.
My pina colada with my magna cum laude. It's and in Miami it could have been that way. It's been an interesting road, right? Always loved school. because I came from, you know, a hardworking immigrant family where, you know, education was valued, but not a lot of people in the family had it.
Right.
You know, it was all about, you know, get educated and work hard and don't look for shortcuts and nobody owes you anything. So, you know, I always loved school, loved being there.
Where did you grow up?
I believe it or not, I was born in Paterson, New Jersey,
Okay.
which is a tough town right across the bridge, right across New York City. And Paterson probably, claim to fame is, if you've ever seen that old movie Lean on Me about Eastside High School and one of the toughest high schools in the country, that was our home school. So, you know, a really tough neighborhood, really tough immigrant neighborhood. And, you know, school education was valued, but there weren't really many role models to follow. So when you got to that critical point in high school of, you know, what am I going to do? You really didn't know. You really didn't know which path to follow, because it's not like you had a doctor in the family or an attorney in the family or a businesswoman or businessman in the family. Just didn't have that. Yeah. So you're trying to figure this out on your own with very little guidance as far as what to do. So I was a musician. You know, I believe it or not, I was in marching band and jazz band and concert band.
What'd you play?
I played, it depended on the band, right? So jazz band, it was actually trumpet and flugelhorn. Wow. Concert band, it was the baritone. And then marching band, it was an instrument called a mellophone, which was a trumped up French horn that would blast the noise to the crowd, you know, the music to the crowd, not the noise, you don't want to make noise, but the music to the crowd. Yes. So, you know, knew I loved that, knew I loved science, but beyond that, it was like, you know, I'm not good enough to be a professional musician, and that's not really the way to go. And maybe I'm good enough to be a doctor, we'll figure it out. So I remember, you know, going to the University of Miami, which was also very interesting because it's a very, very expensive private school. I got there, I had no idea how I was going to pay. There was no money at home to pay for it. So I'm thinking, you know, on grades and scholarships and what have you, I'm going to have to get in this place. And so got accepted to the University of Miami, got there, took out a ton of student loans. Because the scholarships were just not enough. Luckily, we were so poor that I qualified for a lot of these student loans, and it was rough. I mean, you'd show up in your old banged up Toyota Corolla, and the kids there were very wealthy. So, you know, you're parking next to a Beamer, and you're parking next to a Mercedes, and a Jag, and a Maserati, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to pretend that's not my car. I'm just going to keep walking and walk up to, you know, a Porsche and look like I'm looking for my keys, and as soon as everybody's gone, run back to the Toyota and get out of the parking lot. So got there and thought I could do the pre-med thing, which is really funny because I was nowhere prepared to do that. And so while I was at the University of Miami, I started, you know, changing majors like people do. And believe it or not, and this is going to be funny compared to what I'm doing now, there was a shortage for teachers. And especially teachers working with children with disabilities. There were just none. And the state of Florida was out recruiting and trying to take folks from other fields and push them into education. And the one thing they promised you was a guaranteed job after you graduated. And if you're poor and you need a guaranteed job, you look for what that ticket's going to be. And so went into education. Remember walking into my first elementary classroom to teach children with disabilities. What a shock that is, because they can teach you everything in books, but when you're surrounded by 30, 40 kids who have disabilities and you've got to make that work, it's quite a different thing than being in a classroom, you know.
Especially on the first grade level. That's
well, I had grades 3 through 5, and you know, a varying amount of disability. So you had children that were mildly mentally handicapped to emotionally handicapped, all in the same classroom.
Wow.
And so early on, I had picked up some mentors at the university, and I had this professor who said, you know, yeah, you want to start there, but you don't want to end there. And so I want you to start your master's degree in leadership, in educational leadership, and we'll help you. And your graduate assistantship can be running a special program for us. So believe it or not, I picked up a master's in educational leadership and moved through the ranks of the school system, ultimately becoming an inner city high school principal.
Wow.
So one of the tough, like you think of Lean On Me as being, you know, if you've ever seen the movie, a tough high school. I became the principal of a very, very tough inner city high school in Miami, Liberty City, Little Haiti. And it was pretty funny because I was a very young Latino principal in an all-black high school, either Haitian or African American. And it was a kind of a love affair story between this young Latino principal and the student population. And a lot of people picked up on that story because it was very unique. And so the press, I caught the eye of a person who ultimately became mayor for Miami, and he actually hired me to go work for him out of the school system. So I spent 17 years in the school system, before I was recruited by the mayor of Miami to go run Parks and Rec for the city of Miami. So if you've ever watched the show Parks and Rec, it's a lot like that. So I was running the park system for the city of Miami for a mayor who had taken notice of me as a high school principal. And again, you know, it's funny because you get these calls and you're, you know, I always used to tell the kids, always carry yourself in a way that people are going to notice you and think highly of you. You know, and I would always tell the kids that at the high school. You know, you don't ever know who's watching. And that's kind of been my story. I would have never thought I would have run a Parks and Rec system for a city as big as Miami because the mayor noticed me. You know, the mayor I didn't apply for the job.
Right.
The mayor called me and said, he said, hey, you know, I remember you running that high school and I want you to run this city department for me.
Well, you have the kids coming there then.
So yeah, right within the city. So he had a vision, a different vision for Parks and Rec. You know, I remember him calling and I said, Mayor, I don't know why you're calling me for this job. I don't like being outside. I don't like the heat. I don't know the first thing about flowers or plants or turf or anything. And he's like, you hire people to do that. You be the vision. You be the leader. You are higher than that. I don't want you out there measuring blades of grass. That's not what I want you to do, Parks and Rec. I want you to create a culture. I want you to create an environment. So work for him, and then somebody else had taken notice, and then we had a great mayor become mayor here in Tampa, Pam Iorio, and she recruited me out of that city to come and work for her and do a lot of the things you mentioned in that bio. And so I worked with Mayor Iorio for 7 out of her 8 years, and then we had another mayor. And Mayor Buckhorn took over the seat, and Mayor Buckhorn gave me a great opportunity to be the chief of staff for the city, which is the highest ranking non-elected position in city government. And so helped Mayor Buckhorn during his first 2 years, and then this remarkable opportunity came about with you know, the bureau, as was mentioned, has had a bunch of names. It was Hillsborough County's Convention and Visitors Bureau. Then it became Tampa Bay and Company, and then it transitioned to Visit Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I remember Tampa Bay. I think when I started working here, it was Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay and Company, and Visit Tampa Bay has really worked very, very hard at making sure that that Tampa Hillsborough County name is recognized. Yeah. And that we market this destination in a very different way than how most destinations market themselves. If you're in Florida, everybody's marketing the sun and everybody's marketing palm trees and the beaches. We're not all about that. You know, we're about what makes us very unique and what experiences you might have when you come to Tampa Hillsborough County. So that's kind of, you know, a long explanation as to where I started and how I got here.
It's like multiple lifetimes.
Well, that's why, you know, you're old, right? When you read all those stuff, you're like, wow, you know, first year as a high school principal seems like a lifetime ago.
Right?
First day running the parks department.
17 years, though. I mean, that's a long time to be a principal of a high school.
Yeah,
I was 17 years with the school system. I was
I mean, that's
5 out of the 17 I was a high school principal.
That's crazy.
And 2 others were middle school principals. So I was a middle school principal before I could become a high school principal.
It's interesting because what I hear, what you're saying too, it's all about character. Someone watched you from a distance.
Absolutely.
So our theme,
what you were doing at the time, you weren't impressing anyone.
They all said the same thing. You just never know who's watching.
And you never know what great opportunities are out there for you. You know, some people, you know, oh, I've got these blinders on, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be this. And be open to changes. Yeah. Because, you know, forever I thought, oh, high school principal. I want to be a high school principal, and that's going to be the end of the road. And it really wasn't. There were 2 other remarkable opportunities after that. So I've tried to be a mentor to young people and even to older people. And I say, you never know what life has in store for you. And if you limit yourself to this one thing, you may be passing up on a universe of different experiences. And again, I like to say there's this unwritten path for us all that we may not know at the moment. And somebody's watching and they call you and this leads to something else. I had no idea that being pulled out of a high school to run a Parks and Rec department for a city would lead me to Tampa. Had no friends here, no relatives here, didn't know anybody here, a brand new world. And usually you know somebody. Usually you have a relative. No one came here not knowing. All I knew was Busch Gardens. And I thought Busch Gardens was all of Tampa. I'm like, oh wow, Busch Gardens is Tampa. There was a huge Tampa I didn't know. Yeah. So I think that's critically important, to be flexible, to be open-minded, and to, sometimes dreams come true, but in a very different way than the dream you had.
Yeah. Now let me ask you if you can give, for our listeners that may not be familiar, may not be part of the hospitality industry, that really understand what Visit Tampa Bay does and what your main goal is, to kind of explain in a way that those who aren't familiar in the industry.
Sure. So destinations have what we call DMOs, or Destination Marketing Organizations. In Florida, they usually represent counties. So we are Hillsborough County's Destination Marketing Organization. And I hate to say it this way because our mission and our goals have evolved quite a bit, but the main mission is to drive visitors to the destination, to drive visitors to Tampa, Hillsborough County, and really to stay in hotels or rental properties, because that's how we get funded to do what we do. We don't get funded by the general taxpayer. None of us locally pay taxes to support Visit Tampa Bay. It's those visitors that stay in hotels or rental properties that pay a tax, but it's really a user fee because they're staying at the hotel that fund us. Now what does that mean, right? Destination marketing. Well, it's exactly what it means. We're out there creating marketing that shows off all the great things we have for people to come see. So whether it's the Jumbotron in Times Square, or it's wrapping a cab in London, or whether it's wrapping a double-decker bus down in Miami, or running digital commercials on gas station television, or having a digital banner on a newscast somewhere, it's about introducing our home to other people. And we're really, really fortunate in Tampa because beyond drawing tourists, we can also bring big events, conventions, and big groups. So we're also out there bidding against other cities to bring a WrestleMania, to bring a Super Bowl, to bring the Warrior Games.
I contact WrestleMania. I haven't heard a video over there yet, but I know that it's coming here.
Yeah, it's coming. Stay close to us, and we might be able to help with that.
Email the people there. I was on their website, just emailing away to random people. I was.
Well, stay close to us because they are.
The rabbit hole got still in the rabbit hole.
We're finding out they're a fantastic organization, really focused on the community that they come into. So there are going to be lots of opportunities, I believe, for interaction between our community and the folks at WWE. But again, a
lot of their training programs are here in the Tampa Bay area. A lot of their main guys in wrestling live in Tampa.
It's amazing how many have come out of this area, train, live here. Absolutely. So we're super excited about wrestling.
Cool, yeah.
But again, drawing big conventions, events, of the magnitude of a Super Bowl or WrestleMania, or just an engineers convention or a military convention, but also bringing tourists to town. Those folks that want to come with their families, or a couple that wants to come and have a great time, have some great nightlife, do some cool things. And so again, we're really lucky. We have a great airport. We have a great port. We have Busch Gardens and all these attractions.
Yeah, we just had Brian Cooper on. I don't know if they all told him.
Cooper,
Danny Cooper. I'm so sorry. Danny Cooper from the TIA.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, I mean, they've done a great job of bringing international flights to Tampa. We're involved with them in that. So anytime, an international flight is announced, we're there, and we've done something to help do that. So, this last one that just flew directly to Amsterdam, we're super proud of.
Yeah,
we did their entertainment every
doing the Holland Dancers.
It was awesome flight.
They're very creative. They've made themselves a destination as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very exciting to be part of that. And you partner with, you mentioned something, is the sports part of Visit Tampa Bay?
Well, they're their own organization, but they live with us.
Okay.
So we provide
roommates?
We're roommates. We have a lot of roommates. We have the Tampa Bay Sports Commission is one of our roommates. Film Tampa Bay is another roommate. Friends of the Riverwalk is a third roommate, and then our fourth roommate is International Protocol, our International Protocol Officer. So we provide direct support to those 4 organizations, and they live in our offices.
I didn't realize they all live there.
They all live there, and we all.
Reason, go for a field
You have
trip.
to come to. You'll meet a lot of interesting folks doing a lot of great things. Film Tampa Bay's just taken off.
Yeah.
The Sports Commission has always done a great job.
Amazing.
Rob and his team, and now Tyler and Film Tampa Bay. I mean, the number of commercials and films and things that are being shot in Tampa, Hillsborough County, Pinellas is huge right now. Our International Protocol Officer, we do so much internationally. We just talked about Amsterdam and some other things. And then, of course, the Riverwalk, it's blown up, and they've got so many cool events and activities there. So they all live and work with us, and it's really really great to have them all with us, because we love that interaction, that collaboration. We get jazzed off of what we're all doing.
It's probably a really cool
It's great because we can support each other, and it's all about our home. It's all about Tampa, Hillsborough County, right? Yeah. So if the Sports Commission is bringing a women's Final Four to town,
that brings hotels.
We jump in with you.
Right?
If Film Tampa Bay is involved in a Netflix movie with Harry Connick Jr. and Katherine Heigl, we're all in.
We knew the producers for that movie.
So yeah. In fact, you'll notice a lot of parts of Tampa in that movie, which is really very exciting.
It's fun when they film movies here, when you go see the movie after the fact.
You actually know where it's being
You're
shot.
like, I know where that is.
I know that is.
They asked us to be extras, didn't
Oh,
they?
they did. There's another movie coming soon that was like, let me know, I'll be an extra.
We've kind of become the Hallmark movie destination, which is really cool. I mean, those things weren't happening,
Nothing was
and so it's nice to see how we've evolved, and how super exciting it is for people to tell you they want to move here, they want to come here, they want to either spend some time or spend the rest of their lives here. So that's really cool. It wasn't like that.
No, and tell me, you mentioned culture a couple times, your culture. And what have you done? Like, what was your main point when you came in to change that?
I always found, and I believe I told Mayor Iorio this at one time, we're a very humble, really laid back community. Other communities get out there and thump their chests, and they really don't have a chest to thump, but they create an image. And we didn't have to create an image. We have an image, and it's about the culture. It's about the history. It's about the diversity. It's about, I always say that besides St. Augustine, probably Tampa has more living history than any other parts of Florida. Brick streets, cigar factories, historic neighborhoods. There are a lot of cities around Florida that have held on to that very tangible, real history.
Right.
So we have the history, we have the culture, we have the food, we have the attractions. A few years ago, the sports team. A few years ago, we really got off the reservation and said, you know what, we're going to be Florida's most. We're going to say we're Florida's most great things in one location. Because when you think of Tampa, there's so much to offer. We're not known for beaches. We're not known really for theme parks, but we're known for a lot of things. So we became Florida's most destination, Florida's most treasures to discover. So we started talking about, the art and the culture and the dining and the history, and you name it, we market it. And that's led to, now the Riverwalk with all its cool things and all these new restaurants that keep popping up.
Yeah, Armature Works in that whole little area.
We went from no food halls to 3, like in a heartbeat. We didn't have any beer brewing. Then all of a sudden we blew up with beer brewing. So it's really cool to get out there now and be able to talk about all the incredible things we have to offer. We've talked here before the start of the podcast about all the development that's going on, Midtown and Water Street, and everything, the marina, the West, everything that now is really moving and becoming very, very cool and hip and exciting.
The aesthetic change in our skyline.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's going to be like in the next 5 years. By the time the next Super Bowl is here, it's going to be a completely different skyline.
Right. Right.
And then watching the airport keep up with everything.
Yeah.
To be able to make those.
And the roads are really trying that too.
Yeah, they're trying. Any word on that?
Well, we've got some ways to go on transportation issues, and the congestion can get a bit frustrating, and we see it even more so because, let's say we're trying to draw a flight from Frankfurt, Germany, through Lufthansa. The folks that live there in Germany, in Frankfurt, are used to lots of ways of getting around. Trains, boats, bicycles, scooters, you name it, they've got a bunch of different ways to get around. In fact, trains are attached to their airports. So this way to the trains, this way to the buses, this way.
That airport is also the most massive airport I've ever been in.
So you're now marketing to those folks, and when they get here, they're like looking for that, and there is no train attached to the other than going out to the rental car facility, right? or Uber.
Take a pirate water taxi,
Right.
down the river.
So now we really need to focus on diversifying our transportation offerings.
Besides Uber and Lyft.
Well, but that was a start, and we didn't have that either.
Yeah, no,
so Uber, Lyft.
We have scooters.
Now we have
scooters.
Now we have Pirate Water. We have the Cross Bay Ferry.
Yep. Is that running again, by the way?
It's going to start soon.
Okay.
I think it's
we took
coming
it
back.
when they had it here, and then they went back to Boston or somewhere.
It's coming back.
I heard it was coming back.
It's coming back.
It's fun. It's a great,
it's
easy
like
way
a 45-minute ride
to go to St. Pete.
Yep.
Really
So
cool.
it's really interesting. I mean, we have a long way to go as far as transportation is concerned because we really don't have the options. But I think we'll get there. Just like it took a while for us to get to where we are now. I mean, I've seen a tremendous change in Tampa the 16 years I've been here. It's a very different Tampa.
Very.
And so I think, we'll maybe in 16 years we'll sit around here and say, wow, hey, that light rail and that Virgin train that goes now to Orlando and to Miami and to, we may be experiencing those things. And I think we will. I mean, Tampa has a way of doing things right versus other folks. And so even over the last 16 years when we've seen this dramatic change, it hasn't made it a bad place to live. Other places blow up and they become a bad place to live. And people are like, oh my God, I went to the restaurant, I had to wait an hour to get seated. Oh my God, my kid's sitting in a classroom with 100 kids.
Atlanta's a little like that. I think Atlanta just got too big too fast, and then everybody it was a disconnect.
And what happens? People are just frustrated, and they don't want to do. I mean, it could be a lovely place as far as the climate and the things they have to offer, but they're just too many people, and they can't get around. And so I think we've done it really well.
Well, I always get excited too, just like I always like to see cities that have a lot of urban living, and the fact that we've got so much more residential things going up in downtown Tampa, because that's just going to create more restaurants and more grocery stores and more things downtown, where before you go downtown and it was a sleepy downtown to go on a Saturday night. But with all these new residential properties going up in that area, I get excited because we love just to hop on downtown.
As soon as I think that will all come to fruition.
I think we'll all be around to see it. I mean, you mentioned, in 5-10 years. Oh my gosh, in 5 and 10 years, this is going to be a very, very different community again, and it's going to be for the better.
I think so.
We're very lucky. We've got some very, very good elected officials that really have the best interests at heart for the city and the county, and they really do their best to make sure we have a great place to live. It's not often we give them credit, and you know, I've worked firsthand with both the city and the county, and I can tell you that the best interest of all of us and where we live is always first for them. And you don't always find that. You don't always find that in other cities.
Now, Mike, I have a question regarding just what everything that Visit Tampa Bay is doing. Where are some of your challenges right now?
You know, what's interesting, people always ask me, well, what keeps you up at night, right? And what keeps me up at night are things that I don't have any control over. So the economy is a great example.
Yeah.
You know, when the economy is strong, people travel. When the economy is strong around the world, you know, international travelers will come. So the economy is super critical. We've had a great ride, so we always worry about what that might be.
Like knock on wood, right?
Yeah, knock on wood. And then, you know, there's sometimes political forces, not here at home, that don't believe you need to market to draw visitors. And, you know, I have personally seen a huge difference in when we started marketing
I think so too.
Tampa aggressively as to when we were not doing it, right?
If people don't know, they don't know.
And so, you know, I often counter that with, well, somebody better tell Coca-Cola to stop marketing because it doesn't do them any good. And that's a brand that's been around forever. And how many Coca-Cola commercials are on television or on billboards or in magazines? You know, somebody better go tell McDonald's to stop. You know, who doesn't know in the world what a Big Mac is? Better go tell them to stop because everybody knows what a Big Mac is. And so I think, you know, that philosophy is a problem for us because we really do understand that marketing makes a difference and draws people and sells. And then finally, Mother Nature. You know, you never know when Mother Nature is going to take a shot at you. And I can tell you, hurricanes are devastating. I've dealt with them. You know, a hurricane can really change a community and how you're doing. You know, you lose your assets and then, you know, you have to build them back and it takes time. So we don't really have a whole lot of challenges. You know, usually people say, well, more money, but you're always going to say there's never enough money, right?
There's always be more.
Yeah, so
more marketing dollars.
But you know what? We could use some additional marketing dollars because, you know, for an organization like ours, you know, we don't often feel that we have enough to do what we can do. You know, our budget from the tax, from the user fee, from the hotel tax is about $13 million. When you think about $13 million to market this community, sell it, incentivize it, it's to the world.
Right, not just to the U.S.
No, not to the U.S., but to the world.
Yeah.
That's really not a lot of money considering what some of your colleagues have. So, you know, when you sit and you look at Visit St. Pete Clearwater with a budget of $43 million.
Really?
Yeah, or a Visit Orlando down the road with a budget of over $80 million. You know, or you know, Kissimmee in the 30s, 40s, and you're sitting there at 13, and you're a big city. You know, you always feel like you could grow that a little bit more and still do a lot of good work. So I would say money, but people say, yeah, you never have enough money. But it's the things you can't really control that really can impact you. But we're doing great. I mean, we've had, gosh, since 2014, straight record-setting years. And the way we look at it as far as record setting is how much does hotel revenue grow? And I can tell you that 2 years ago, back in 17, we joined a very elite group of destinations in Florida called high impact tourism destinations. And in order to do that, the benchmark is super high. We have 67 counties in Florida, and up until we did it, there were only 8 that had hit it. And that's when you bring in $600 million in taxable hotel revenue in one calendar year. And so we hit it 2 years ago, over 640 million. Then we repeated it last year at over 670 million. So we became the 9th high impact tourism destination in all of Florida. And that's huge. I mean, to be able to get that designation was really, really big for us.
So do you feel like got a lot of new hotels coming up?
Super excited.
Yeah.
Super excited, especially with the brands that we're seeing.
Yeah.
A lot of boutique, very cool, one-of-a-kind properties
Nice,
we're starting to see. The current Hotel Alba and a lot of rebrands. And then, obviously some of the higher-end brands that we've never seen. We've got a lot of room to grow as far as higher-end brands. We don't have a Ritz. We don't have an Omni. We don't have a Lowe's. Now we're going to have a JW. We didn't have a JW. We don't have a W. We don't have an Oriental. We're going to have an Edition, which will be another high-end Marriott product. So we're super excited.
Where is that going?
That's going in Channel District as well, in Water Street.
What's the hotel that's going to be in the airport area? The new 5-star hotel they said the airport's going to get.
We're not real sure yet. Those brands are announced super late.
Yeah.
So we're not real sure, but there is a rumor that there'll be another 5-star. There was always a rumor there was going to be a 5-star down in Rocky Point. And that never happened, or Ritz, or something like that. So super excited about what Mr. Vinnick is doing with Cascade and this whole new, we could say almost another downtown.
Yeah.
When you talk about West Shore and downtown Tampa and now Water Street, that's phenomenal because the amount of buzz that's going to create for us, we're always looking for the next cool thing to market.
Right.
And so, Water Street and Midtown and some of these new developments are the next cool things to talk about.
And I was told the other day, between the two hotels, kind of JW and the Marriott, with the walkthrough, you got like 1,000 rooms just with this.
Way over 1,000. Way over 1,000.
Yeah.
And more meeting space to supplement the convention center.
Which we need.
Which we need because, it's not that our convention center isn't a great size. It is, right? It's a mid-size, very nice convention center. The issue is that you can only do a couple or one event at a time, because you can't overlap. So, it's not that you want to have these mega convention centers because those mega events really don't exist. It's that you want to have multiple events.
Right.
And so we've been hampered by being able to do multiple events with our size convention center. So it's great that they're adding more meeting space, that they're adding more rooms. We have to work super hard. I mean, when we're bringing a convention to town, think about this. Let's say it's a big convention, 13,000 people. Which we just had one. Suffolk, the military convention, was 13,000 people. We're going to have one in July now, the Church of God in Christ, about 11,000 attendees. You think about if two people are in a room, right? 13,000 in half is what? 6,500 rooms.
Yeah.
Well, in Hillsborough County, we have about 22,000 rooms. So think about taking 6,500 off of your 22. You've taken off a massive number of rooms off of your inventory, and so you really don't have a lot of inventory left. So the fact that we're growing by about 3,000 rooms in the next few years is huge for us, because when you're sitting at 22,000, you're adding 3. That's a nice jump. So we're super excited about the brands and the capacity and all those things.
And how does the calendar look for moving forward? Like, you're out 8.
Oh my gosh! No, I mean, when you think about, we're booking things 2025, 2026.
Any really cool big conventions coming that you can tell us about?
The funny thing is that, to us they're all cool and they're all incredible.
Well, something like the WWE.
I know. So
cool,
those suck out the air in the room, right? So when you say WrestleMania or the 5th Super Bowl or Women's Final Four or an SEC men's basketball tournament, or Lightning NHL All-Star game, an NHL All-Star game at the Lightning home, Emily, those suck out the air out of the room. But but we also have huge Shriners conventions. I mean, we have big sororities and fraternities that are coming to town, the Alphas and the Kappas, and bikers have now discovered us. So, we're working on big bikers events out at the fairgrounds, which is very cool. We haven't even talked about all the stuff that's going on at the Hard Rock. I mean, they're building,
I was just there the other night. I can't believe how much
this
they're doing.
humongous new hotel.
Awesome.
So we've got a lot of cool stuff going on that helps us attract, these big conventions and groups. So, that's the foundation, the conventions, because if you've got stuff booked that many years out, that's for sure business.
Right.
And then you just start layering on top of that, so you build that foundation up. So that's what really gives us a lot of ambition and hope for the future, because we know what we've got coming 10 years down the line. And we know we can still build on that or pick months that are weak that we need to fill. So we're, like I said, we're really fortunate because not only do we have a great tourism destination, we have a great business convention event destination. So they can both play off of each other, and you can make sure you have really big years. So it's really, really exciting.
We get excited, and we love our partnership with Visit Tampa Bay and being a partner for however long you've ever been a partner.
I've been a partner for 31 years.
Yeah, as long as you've been in business.
And you guys have been good to us. You share the wealth with us. You need to for your convention so that they know who everybody's out here. So they it's been wonderful, and you've got a great team.
I appreciate that.
It's awesome that you've had Susan on your team for a long time. She is a big ambassador. Yeah,
she's fantastic. We've just promoted her to vice president, and
I didn't know that.
What's really cool is we have a great mix of great folks that have a lot of historical institutional knowledge, and then lots of young people that come in with these great ideas.
They're excited,
not
jaded.
But they're writing on the walls and they're thinking about the next cool thing. I mean, we're the first of a lot of new things. I mean, we were the first destination marketing organization to release a cookbook. And the cookbook was visitor guide, culinary guide, restaurant guide, chef guide, all in one. And so then we matched that up with YouTube videos of these chefs from these great restaurants doing that recipe online for you to follow in the cookbook. So it's like, it's a cookbook, but it's really come and check out all these cool restaurants we have in Tampa. So, we're first DMO to launch a beer. A lager or an IPA. Nobody's doing that. So we're really doing things that most DMOs haven't thought about doing yet. And so that's because of the young infusion of ideas. They're coming in with these great ideas. And then we have an older generation that's willing to accept those ideas. Not to say, a cookbook, are you crazy? We don't do cooking. That doesn't make any sense.
The scooters all over town, we were hilarious. We were watching people all day yesterday.
We were at the Hilton looking, they could check it out, and it was really cool.
So I'm really fortunate. Thank you for, being able to have a great team. I get to do this stuff and brag about everything, but they're the ones that make it all happen. And I have to always give our team all the credit because, they're the ones that'll come by and say, hey, boss, what do you think about this? And I'm like, go for it. Let's do it. There are no bad ideas. No one around here is going to get, penalized for an idea that doesn't succeed.
I tell my team, you think it, you better be able to produce it.
That's right.
Running out of gas.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Sometimes they sell something, and I'm like, how the heck are we going to do this? And we're like, we figure it out.
I can't tell you how many firsts we've done. I mean, our marketing team a few winter campaigns ago decided to take over the Barclays Center and in Brooklyn. And in the winter, when you check your code check, it's now on an iPad, and you get a number and all. Those check-ins were brought in by Visit Tampa Bay. So whenever you opened up that iPad,
you just saw,
it was Visit Tampa Bay. And you're checking your code, and you're like, man, what's up with these guys? And then you left the thing and went down to the subway, and there were Visit Tampa Bay videos everywhere. And so really cool activations and marketing ideas that are very youthful and very young and very different than the things you've seen.
They're our future.
So
it's so true.
For when you talk about all the marketing, obviously that's a huge part of what you guys do. I mean, that's a majority of your job.
It is.
What is some crazy off the wall marketing thing like the Barclays that you're like, I don't know if it's going to work, and ended up being like a gold mine for you?
Oh my gosh.
Something that just really clicked with where you were marketing.
I'll tell you one that I have my concerns about. And it's done well. Done well. So our team decided that we were going to have, and you can check it out because it's all online, Graybeard the Business Pirate. And we have all of these funny videos on YouTube with Graybeard the Business Pirate, who supposedly works in our office.
Okay.
So he's got his own LinkedIn account, his own extension, his pictures on our staff directory.
I love it.
We endorsed him to run for mayor. So he's like running around town talking about he's the tourism ambassador. I mean, so he's done a lot of funny videos for us to bring conventions and groups and associations. And when you think about it, it was genius in that, convention sales marketing is usually pretty dry. Mm-hmm. You're talking about, hey, we have this convention center, and hey, we have this hotel. Come have a meeting here.
Comedic value.
And this guy is, he's mixing and he's pouring drinks and he's a DJ. And we even had this whole little commercial where he's translating what I'm saying into pirate talk, and it's pretty funny because he's right behind me and he's my new employee, and I'm saying things in the jargon of tourism, and he's like repeating them in pirate talk. So he's had TED Talks. I mean, it's gone way long,
I love it.
and it's pretty funny. Graybeard the business pirate, and like I said, if you go on our convention sales team, his picture's there, and if you call, he answers. I mean, it's like the funniest thing.
And who came up with that?
That was our marketing team. Our marketing team. They just said, hey, you know what? This would be really, really funny. We're known for pirates, so we'll do this whole slapstick, business pirate thing. And actually, some folks thought we really had hired him. And it was the funniest thing, like, hey,
when I go to your office and he's not there, I'm going to be really disappointed.
When you go into a Geico office, you're not going to see the little lizard, right? So you're not
going to caveman from
or the caveman, right? So it was the funny thing, like, no, this is the marketing campaign using Graybeard. The videos are hilarious. They're on our YouTube site, and they're pretty funny. And I thought, okay, I don't know.
And you feel like they drew some business. You got some clients that were like,
he makes appearances now, and we've had him welcome groups to town.
That's amazing.
And it's really, really, really funny, and it's really cool, and it's really out there.
Well, and I
think we do.
I think what happens too, like the big conventions come here, and most of it's kind of like work. We've got meetings and these guest speakers and stuff like that. But there's always that one or two nights that it's like a fun, and that's a great way to talk. Is you come to Tampa, and the convention we just did, they did Taste of Tampa. The convention center did amazing food that was all like Cuban sandwiches and empanadas.
And we have such great partners. The Yacht Starship, the Pirate Water Taxi, the zoo, the aquarium, Mosley, the
zoo
Performing
came out,
Arts
brought
Center.
animals, and it's really neat.
It is, and we get to go have a lot of fun. I mean, we're down in Miami this weekend. We're doing an LGBTQ activation during Pride down in Miami.
Oh, wow.
Where, we're going to be going down there and doing some really cool stuff on the streets. And so it's a whole lot of fun, and people get to be creative and have a good time. And I think for the most part, our team really enjoys what they do. I mean, I think they take it really personally. They take it really seriously. If I used to have somebody used to work there, used to say, whenever I drive by a hotel and it's, early evening and there are windows that are dark, that means somebody's not staying there and we're not doing our job. Yeah. So we really need to make sure that every hotel window around 7 o'clock has a light on in it because somebody's staying there. And so I think our team really takes it to heart that they have, and it's so interesting because we don't really understand the impact of what we do until you hear some of the stories, right? People don't understand that if we're creating a job for one of our neighbors, now that person can take care of their family. And what does that mean? They can go shop at Publix. They can buy State Farm insurance for their car. They can have a car. They can go buy a car at Furman or Bill Curry, or they can afford Frontier Cable. So the wages they're generating from the business we're creating goes to support other businesses. Right. People don't get that. I mean, I had my favorite example, and I think you've heard it, Cindy, is, I had a furniture company call me one day, and they wanted to get together for lunch, and I said, sure. And I had no idea where this was going, furniture, tourism, I don't know. And so we're sitting at this restaurant, and they said, we really value what you do. And I said, well, okay. And they said, all of this furniture in this restaurant is ours. And that new hotel that's being built because of demand that you guys are increasing, we're furnishing all those rooms. Wow. For a local business, that's a big deal. 100 beds, 100 desks, 100 chairs, 100 lamps. Yeah. That's a big business order. And that's because in some way we've driven that demand so that we need a new hotel, right, so that a new restaurant opens, so that Busch Gardens puts in a new roller coaster, so that the aquarium does a new splash park or a new 3D or 4D theater. So it's amazing the repercussions and the ripples that what we do causes in the community, and people don't understand that.
Put it all together, and the same thing, you can't always see your results from all this marketing. You just, like, when you came in, the first thing you said, how's business? And we're knock wood, we're very excited.
Yeah.
We're seeing more convention business, more partners with the things that are coming into town. However it may be, giving referral from whoever, but they're here.
Sure.
And it's she loves going downtown. Tessie goes downtown. She does stay vacations downtown.
I stay in the hotels downtown.
That's all. Thank you for supporting us, because when you do that, you support.
I love hotels.
That's awesome.
More and more people are doing that. We have beautiful hotels that are inviting, that, like, we want to stay there.
Yeah, and you can.
All got hotels for the
it was Margarita Fest. We went to Margarita Fest, and we're like, by the time you get the Uber, and like we'll stay, we'll go early.
Right.
We actually
have another margarita.
We had somebody come and get us a boat and take us by boat to Eulalie, and then we walked from Eulalie. I mean,
amazing.
It was just so cool.
Amazing.
Brunch. You went out to brunch.
Yeah, on Sunday we did brunch down at Armature Work.
That's phenomenal, and those are the stories we like to tell. Right? You're going to come here, you're going to have a great time. If you live here, hopefully the things that are being built will also make you happy. So, like you just mentioned, you go down to the Riverwalk. Before, I've been here 16 years. If somebody came to visit me from out of town, I didn't go downtown. Now, somebody comes to visit me from Michigan or Ohio or New Jersey, we're going to the Riverwalk. They're like, what is that? Wait till you get there.
Yeah, but Pavilion or Sparkman Wharf, or
you just jump on that water taxi.
There's always something going on at Curtis Hickson, some sort of festival or something, live music.
So now it becomes a must-see, right? And you have more must-sees. Before it was, you had to think, where do I take these folks that I'm going to impress them? Oh, Bayshore, I'll take them down to Bayshore. Sure, you can still do Bayshore.
Or you go to the beach, because it's 30 minutes away and you go out of our county.
Very, very different now. Very different. And so, our locals can enjoy those things too. You can go downtown if you live in Carrollwood or if you live in New Tampa and have this very cool evening in our downtown, with the lights on the bridges and the lights on the water. I mean, it's phenomenal. And
makes you proud.
And that just within our last 16 years, I've been here 16 years, so within the last 16 years, all this has happened, which is really amazing.
For us, it's interesting because we have this whole wedding side, and the hotels are important. They all need hotel rooms to stay in, but they want venues. And the venues that have opened up doors in the downtown area have just been amazing. And people are having destination weddings here in downtown Tampa.
Well, and the one thing we haven't even mentioned, which should have been like right from the beginning, is we have a community of people that get along. So our hotels get along with our venues get along with our attractions get along with us, we get along with the airport, we get along with the port, we get along with the city, we get along with the county. So we all need each other. So we all come together, but that doesn't happen everywhere, right? So I've had people come from. I've had somebody come from Atlanta recently in an executive position and say, wow, what a difference the professional environment is here. Everybody supports each other. No big egos. I don't have to be the guy who made it happen or the gal who we made it happen. We all made it happen. And that's really important. I have people who ask me all the time, how is it that Tampa got the Bollywood Awards? How is it that Tampa has its 5th Super Bowl? How is it that Tampa's got WrestleMania? And that's because we come together to make those things happen. Lots of people want that stuff, but lots of people don't get that stuff.
What goes in now? Is it Visit Tampa Bay that puts that bid together, or who is it that's responsible for that?
Well, it all depends, right, on the piece of business. So a WrestleMania, the Sports Commission would take the lead. Okay. And some of these bids are huge. I mean, volumes of material. Because think about an event that's coming to town. You can use WrestleMania or Super Bowl. You need so many hotel rooms dedicated to not only the staff and the teams and the coaches, but the fans that might come.
And the press.
And the press, obviously, you have the convention center that serves as press central. So you have to have that many rooms coordinated to support the event. Then you have to have all these venues. So when we did the Bollywood Awards, we had an event at Curtis Hickson Park, the convention center, the amphitheater, and Raymond James Stadium. What community can pull together all those assets to put on one event? So, you know, we're able to pull all those things together to make these things happen. And these bids require those guarantees. You know, they require that you have a great airport and that there's a private airport that would handle smaller aircraft, and that the city and the county are going to provide the support as far as police and fire and cleanup, XYZ. So some of these bids, and some require a financial contribution. So you're incentivizing, you know, these big groups and events to come to town. So all of this stuff has to be captured and submitted in a creative way, because you're competing with Charlotte and New York and LA and Boston. So yours has to impress.
Right.
It's not just about what you're providing, it's how you're providing it. So we have lots of creative people. Visit Tampa Bay handles the conventions, anything that's not sports related. And then the Sports Commission takes the lead on sports, and we support them.
Yeah. So,
you know, the Sports Commission is a much smaller team than the Visit Tampa Bay team, so we support them financially and with personnel as well. So
or whatever stats or like reports that they need to put in their presentation.
And I mean, they're phenomenal. I mean, they've grown tremendously too. So we do provide a lot of support, and we all work together. In some cities, those two entities don't even talk to each other. And in ours, we do. And people come in, they're like, they don't know the difference between the Visit Tampa Bay people and the Sports Commission people. Because we're making it.
Well, I think it's cool that you're all in the same office too. I mean, what cities all have those groups in the same office?
In the same place.
Yeah.
In the same place.
How long does a bid usually take to?
Oh my God!
All starting from finish.
What's funny is they all are very, very different, and many of them are awarded years out.
Right. Yeah.
So you may be bidding for a Super Bowl for 2026 now, right? And they all have different, you know, lengths of time. So from the moment, there's usually a deadline on the bid submission, and then there's usually a follow-up presentation, and then if you're one of the finalists, there are site visits. They come and check us out, because you know, anybody can write anything. You know, are you the real deal? Do you have these things for real? So they do a site visit, and then there's usually a vetting process where you're picked to be the host years out. And so in some cases, you do a bid and you may not even be in this position when that event comes around. Plan Iorio is a great example. Mayor Iorio started the Republican National Convention bid, but by the time it was awarded and they came, she wasn't the mayor. It was Mayor Buckhorn. And so there was a transition of all the things she did to get it here to the execution of the event by Mayor Buckhorn and his team and all the other folks. So you may be bidding on something
you may not see it,
that you got your whole heart and soul into, and you may not be around to even be a part of it. So that's really, really also a very interesting part of the bidding process. But it takes a lot of players, a lot of coordination, a lot of cooperation, support to make sure that those things happen. And then you got to deliver. I mean, the last thing...
I feel like we do a really good job.
The last thing you want to do is go all out and talk about what a great thing you're going to do, and then it fails. And so we have developed like this incredible reputation, back to your point, that, you know, we deliver. And when you come here, your experience is fantastic, and you're going to want to come back.
I loved all the press about how Tampa delivered for the football playoffs, college football.
The college football playoffs, national championship.
That was, I mean, because the last time Super Bowl was here, we didn't have all that stuff at Curtis Sixton and all the River Walk and all that wasn't there. And but to see all how well receptive we handled that event, we got to be a part of a lot of it as for Breezin, and it was just it was just we went to every event I could possibly get my hands on, I went to, and any party or anything.
And then there's all these opportunities for you, you know, to volunteer.
So
we're always looking for volunteers, for ambassadors to welcome at the airport, to be at the stadium.
My dad volunteered when the Republican National Convention was here. He was a volunteer.
We volunteered with one of the first college football playoff games, the sides, and then Super Bowl. Big meetings, and we gave jackets to everybody.
You get your uniform, and you get your shirt and your credentials, and
for the city.
Well, I mean, our resume now is pretty deep.
Very deep.
Our resume, for, you know, other than other than hosting an Olympics, and that's usually a national bid, and then, you know, a geographic bid, or hosting a World Cup, which we came close. We've come close a few times, but the country has to get the bid first in order for you to be considered, and the country hasn't quite landed it yet. You know, we've done everything besides those two big ones.
So that's on your bucket list?
you know, that's pretty ambitious, only because you're relying on the country to win the bid and then to be a part of the country's bid. It's a little bit more difficult than you going out there on your own and trying to get it.
Selling just Tampa.
Selling just Tampa. So I'm sure the sports guys would love to do it. But, you know, WrestleMania had eluded our sports guys forever. They had wanted that for over 10 years. And now they finally have that as well. So
10 years. That's all. That was a big accomplishment, and people are super excited about it.
Let me tell you,
Yeah, I mean, it's
WrestleMania is really a great. I've been a wrestling fan since I was a little boy, you know, and WrestleManias are big time. I mean, they are big.
That's the Super Bowl of the wrestling.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
mean, it's one of the top 5 big sporting events in the world that people watch, and I can't tell you the price of having the name Tampa said 20 times in an hour.
Yeah.
You know, from Tampa.
On a
Oh my God,
global
from
scale.
Tampa.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we saw that when we had Bollywood. You know, everybody goes, Tampa, we're in Tampa. You know, and that thing is played all over the world.
Right.
You know, I don't know how many times on rebroadcast and on DVD, and back when we had DVD, or on streaming. I mean, it's crazy. So, you know, every time they say Tampa during WrestleMania, you know, cha-ching, 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 you keep noting those opportunities. So, again, name recognition is super important. Super important.
What's any secrets there, or you can give away with the next group, the big one?
No, you know, it's interesting because our convention sales team is always looking. Always looking. They love repeat visitation, but they're always looking for the new one we can talk about. But you know what? It's in our convention world, they're exciting, but for you, it might not mean anything.
Yeah.
But yet, there's going to be 10,000 people at the convention center, staying in town, eating, drinking, going out, having a good time. So, yeah, no, you know, like I said, we're delving into different things now. Multicultural business development is huge, I think, you know, for me. So we've been going out of lots of multicultural groups and bringing them to Tampa, because I think we deserve to have multicultural groups in Tampa. We're very welcoming. We're very accommodating. It's a great community. So, you know, like I said, we're going after religious groups and sororities and fraternities. Sherry,
I love her.
Sherry Brown does a great job for us. In fact, you know, the Church of God in Christ is coming to town over July 4th. Think about that. You don't get many conventions or groups to have anything on July 4th on a holiday.
Perfect.
And so that's perfect. That means business for our community over July 4th weekend, above and beyond whatever we might do normally.
And I just read something in an article about July 4th about the different, along the Riverwalk, how many different fireworks displays it's going to be. And you're going to be able to see like 4 or 5 different fireworks displays along the entire Riverwalk.
Well, that's going to be Mayor Castor's big
that was
holiday. Boom by the Bay.
Boom by the Bay. That's what it was. It was like a big commercial that Castor did.
And it's awesome.
Is that what they're calling it?
Boom by the Bay.
Yeah, someone sent me the tweet. So they tweeted it and they sent it to me.
You know, boom, boom, boom down the river, you know, off the bay.
I'll send it to you. Someone sent me that tweet. I was like, oh man, we're gonna be in Sarasota for the 4th. But
it's phenomenal because up near Waterworks Park, Eulalie, down by the next one is Curtis Hickson, and then the next one's Convention Center, and the last one's Sparksman's Wharf.
They're all
so they're all going to do very cool things. So really excited about July 4th, and we have, by the way, a big convention in town, which we normally don't have.
And
so
look at that, they get a free fireworks show out of it.
That's exactly right. You get fireworks. Yeah.
The boom by the bay. You're gonna be hearing it from miles away, I'm sure.
Yeah, right? 4 different locations.
Come on down.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Someone literally just sent me the tweet that she did.
Super exciting. You know, new mayor, super exciting.
You excited about her?
Very, very excited. I had the opportunity and the pleasure to work with Jane when we were both working for Pam Iorio and Bob Buckhorn. So we know each other very, very well. She's a big champion for what we do. In fact, you know, after she retired from the police department, she'd go out there and make pitches with us for events and conventions. So she already knows what we do in the valley of what we do. Great county commission, very supportive of what we do. We have agreements with both the city and the county. With the city, it's to sell and market the convention center, to put business in the convention center. And with the county, it's to market Hillsborough County as a destination to the world. So we work very closely with the county commission and the county staff, great teams there. And then we work very, very well with the city and its staff and its city council to bring these big events. You know, Warrior Games, Department of Defense Warrior Games.
They were checking in yesterday.
The city, very involved, Councilmember Vieira and the city council waiving some fees. So anytime we can do some things to help incentivize groups to come here and government steps up and helps, always helps us to do what we do. So we're very lucky.
Yeah.
We're very lucky.
Well, we are so appreciative of you and your team.
Thank you.
It doesn't come easy. It's a lot of hard work to do that.
We learned a lot.
A lot, and it's just that it takes a village, right? It takes a tribe, a village to make it all happen. And
I'd love for you to come by our home and see our teams in action. Because one thing is talking about it, and one thing is seeing it, right? And coming in there and actually seeing all these teams working together and doing all this cool stuff and looking at the videos. I invite you to go on our Facebook and Twitter and
why don't you tell our listeners how do they find you? What are your channels?
Well, if you go to visittampa.com, you know, we have links to all of it on there. And our website is also very cool because it informs people of what's happening in town. And so you go on there, you click on our Facebook site, our social media, our YouTube site. Huge library of cool videos.
There's a great events calendar. I know that.
Great events calendar. So, yeah, I invite you, visit tampabay.com, click on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Phenomenal stuff, whether you're a local or a visitor, because you're going to say, wow, I had no idea, you know, this event's coming to town, or wow, that restaurant looks pretty cool, or hey, Tigress now opened at Busch Gardens. I mean, so there's like a ton of information, not only for visitors, but for all of us who live here.
Well, we'll definitely, when we podcast comes out, we'll be hashtagging everything.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we'll include the links. Everybody knows.
There's a video on there of, was it just the
Graybeard the Business Pirate.
I can't wait to meet them.
You got to watch those videos. They're hilarious.
I can't wait to meet him.
They're so funny. We have to bring him by. Bring him by Breezin. He's a handful. He'd be on top of your table here doing a dance.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, you'll love it. Yeah.
So thank you.
Oh my gosh! Thank you all.
Always say,
have a breezin' day.